Hey Tankers, and welcome back to World of Tanks with PR154. And today we are on Malinovka in the Tier 7 Soviet medium tank A44. This is one that's on the tech tree, one that was the subject of the on-track to the K91 recently, and there's, I guess, a whole host of Soviet medium tanks with a rear-mounted turret. This is a vehicle that I struggled to work out what it was good for. Its armor was nothing too remarkable. It's a little bit bouncy and a side scrape, but otherwise attacking frontally, it's quite pennable. Side scraping, if you can see turret face, it's also quite pennable. In this case, was lucky enough to get a game which was heavily populated by Tier 6 vehicles, which I guess gave me half a chance to bounce a lot of the incoming fire. But otherwise, yeah, a vehicle that I'm still struggling to work out really how to use. Nominal 120 millimeters on most armor facing, and you think about what most Tier 6 tanks are capable of, and realistically you're not shrugging that off too well. Now it's classified as an assault tank, so I guess I have to be sort of using its mobility in an assault sort of role. Obviously that's not what I'm doing here. I'm operating out of hard cover, I'm shifting into soft cover, I'm looking for targets, and then trying to plink them with a semi-accurate Russian 100mm main armament. Now it's a decent gun on this one, 300 hit point alpha with 167mm of standard penetration, which is more than enough to come back at another A44. You can switch that up to the APCR should you choose so at Tier 7 for 219mm of penetration, which is pretty good. It keeps the gun relevant if you end up being sub-tier, which, let's face it, there's a lot of Tier 8 premiums out there, so you're going to spend a bit of time sub-tier. But this is where we landed. I didn't really have too many other positions. I was all that keen on playing on this vehicle, on this very open map. Running the hill was a kind of pointless exercise because it really doesn't have gun depression. Playing off some of the rocks on the way up the hill was also kind of pointless as well, because our team had already made some considerable gains up the hill, and you don't really want to position yourself predicated on the assumption that your enemy, that your friendly team is going to die. So field it is. We've set up in the field, and we're just trying to take these shots of opportunity on the enemy as they come. We weren't expecting a fantastic result out of this game from this position. However, we were reasonably well supported with light tanks and a couple of medium tanks and tank destroyers. So there's certainly capacity to get eyeballs out into the field, and the enemy insisted on continuing to poke out and be seen. So that was beneficial. That was all working in our favour. Provided that it hits, of course, the big 100mm gun on A44 lands 300 hit points per shot, which is also quite useful. But I guess this is the fate of a lot of battles of this nature. Everyone reorganises into their positions. They're looking across the field. They're looking for shots of opportunity, but then they sort of realise, well, okay, maybe I should stop poking that, and then. For someone in my position, for example, those shots of opportunity they start to come away a little bit, but that's okay. That's World of Tanks, and I guess there's a strong argument to say, well, maybe that's just how it is. So we're doing our best to play to the role of this vehicle, but it's characterised as an assault tank. Again, maybe for its mobility rather than its armor profile. I don't have a huge amount of confidence in its armor profile. We've been able to reacquire the VK3002D. just looking for a shot of opportunity on that at the moment. Have a reasonable set of eyes in there from our Nashorn and P43 BIS. Of course, the enemy M44 was also able to get shots in that general direction as well. Thought we might have had a shot in the AMX 1375. Couldn't quite get in position for that. That's a really good position to land in if you can get there. We see TNT of the Chaos Mob has revealed their position, moving up to the next hedgerow, but the team is able to ultimately overwhelm TNT with superior firepower. So that's taken care of all the tanks that at least we know about. So now we're properly going to try to play to the role of this assault tank and move up and assault. And mercifully, we haven't caught any enemy fire on the way in. Looks like there was a bit of a close one there from the AT-8. Thankfully dodged it, and we're into the VK3002D. That's the Tier 7 German medium tank. So we're able to pick that one up, knock that one out. We have actually bounced a little bit of enemy fire along the way, which is somewhat surprising. AT7 is copping a fair bit of grief from the friendly team, trying to look for those weak spots using the penetration indicator, and we find it on the cupola, depending on where you're from. And that's back to the garage as well. We haven't caused any kills upon the enemy yet, but have collected 1,500 hit points of damage so far, bouncing that up to nearly 1,900 with a bit of a shot and a setting on fire of the KV-1S. Charging ahead, there are 4 enemy tanks left in the game. Now, with each connection with the enemy, we're hearing that little sound of some progression in a personal campaign mission. And the one we're at the moment is Union 3 for the Chimera, where we need to cause 3,000 hit points of damage to enemy vehicles. We need to place in top 3 on our team by experience earned, and for the honors condition, we need to survive the battle. So, if we can cause the damage, which we've almost done, having ram killed that SU-100, we can knock over that honors condition from Tier 7. Looking at a little short of our goal here. We're only at 2,500 hit points. We've managed to find the Hummel, but someone else has shot it down. So we're really hoping that one of our blind fires earlier in the game is going to come through for us. So let's take a look at the results. And there we have it, folks. Our efforts have paid off. We have managed to acquire that goal of at least 3,000 hit points of damage inflicted on the enemy. We must have had a couple of blind fires throughout our earlier deployment on that map, and that's taken us to nearly 3,500 hit points of damage inflicted on the enemy, thus satisfying our primary condition. And of course, having survived the battle, we've met the honours condition for mission Union 3 of the Chimera personal campaign. So quite happy with that. For our efforts, come away with a first class mastery badge and a couple of Battle Heroes medals here between Confederate for hitting more enemy vehicles than any other player on the team, and the High Caliber medal for accounting for at least 20% of the hit point pool of the enemy team. We've also picked up the Bruiser medal here for damaging internal modules or crew members at least 5 times in the course of the battle, and of course the Fire for Effect medal for doing at least our hit points in damage. Having a look at the team scores, and of course one of our other personal campaign mission goals was to place top 3 by experience on our team, which we've actually placed top 1, which very happy with that once again. Having a look at the detailed report, we've fired 12 shots in the course of the battle, of which 10 have actually hit the enemy and 10 have penetrated. So very happy with that sort of penetration rate. Looking at the credit yield, we've been able to come away with over 40,000 credits net on a Tier 7 Tech Tree tank. A couple of points of context, however. This has been increased somewhat by battle payments, which the Fiddy clan runs quite generous battle payments clan reserves rather. But again, we've been down 20,000 credits because I've been running a premium consumable. In this case, it would have been the Sixth Sense Directive, which being a vehicle that I was running catching up to an on-track event, specifically the on-track to the K91, it's very unlikely that I would have had a crew that was spec'd up to have the Sixth Sense skill naturally. So very important skill to have, particularly on big open maps like Malinovka, and in this case it has sort of somewhat offset the clan booster there, but netting over 40,000 credits at tier 7, quite happy with that. So that's that, folks. Another Chimera personal campaign mission achievable from tier 7. Result I'm quite happy with. And if you've got a result that you're quite happy with, please feel free to shoot us a replay at World of Tanks with PR154. I'm contactable on our Discord, the details below, or any of the other links below. I do leave quite a few, so I'm pretty hard to miss. In the meantime, take care out there.